Elementary music teacher friend, you love what you do, but you might feel unappreciated and, in fact, unseen some days. You may even feel like you're on a music teacher island and just want to connect with other music teachers who can relate to both your struggles and wins when it comes to teaching elementary music. I get you and understand completely the feelings you're having. That's why each and every week, the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast will provide you with solo and guest episodes that will help you realize you're not alone in your music teaching journey. Throughout each episode, my goal is for you to be able to walk away with actionable steps and ideas to help you feel like you're ready to take on the new week with whatever challenges may be thrown your way. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Peresta, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're at home, in your car, in the shower, or wherever else you're listening, grab your cup of coffee or whatever other beverage is nearby and listen in to the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast.
Hi, I'm Adam Geis.
I'm David Lurch.
We're hosts of the EdTech Distilled podcast, which is a part of the Education Podcast Network.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to be joined by David Smolover today. We're going to talk about music education technology, and I can't wait for him to tell all about himself and his background and experiences before we dive into our conversation. So, David, welcome to the podcast, and I would love for you to introduce yourself today.
Thanks, Jessica. My name's Dave Smolover. I've been a music educator and music education entrepreneur for many more decades than I like to admit. And started teaching in high school, all the way through college, until I started my own businesses in my early 30s. And it's been a long and interesting trip through many different ways of educating people.
Awesome. Well, it's so exciting to have you here. And I know one of the businesses you founded is called Match My Sound. So I was going to ask you this at the end, but I'm just so intrigued. So why don't you let everybody know what Match My Sound is if they're not familiar with the platform?
Sure. It's a feedback and assessment technology where we're able to help and give guided practice to a student, a user, who plays something into their computer. The computer has that audio file resident so that it can make a comparison between the two performances, the reference track and the student performance. What makes our technology unique is that it's polyphonic as well as monophonic. And we can ascertain up to 7 simultaneous tones. So it can be used for piano or guitar, as well as any monophonic instrument. And I was introduced to it by chance back in 2014. There were these 2 brilliant Estonians. One was the youngest person in the history of Estonia to get a PhD in any subject. His happened to be theoretical cryptology. And he, thank God, wanted to learn how to play guitar and partnered with a wonderful classical guitarist in Estonia who had just written a book and was trying to provide feedback to people on you would play and you'd send him your MP3 and he'd give you feedback. And it didn't seem to be a model that could sustain itself. The 2 of them created the algorithm and then reached out to 600 publishers and schools across the US. And I was the only one who responded.
Wow.
And we went into partnership, and then we acquired the company back in 2019.
That is such a cool story. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, that is so neat. I love those kind of stories where it's just, okay, the stars aligned and you just knew it was a perfect fit. And so good for you. That's so exciting.
Well, I've been in publishing since the late 80s. And, when you publish a book, you put it out to the world and you get feedback maybe from the teachers or the person selling it saying, I can't sell this book, but you never get any feedback from the actual person using it. And to me, being able to actually see how somebody was interacting with the content was kind of magical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we started making our relationships with the different publishers in the industry, and then licensing the technology to Music First, who provides a platform, wonderful platform for music teachers and music students in K through 12.
Mm-hmm.
And they licensed our technology. We let them call it Practice First, powered by Match My Sound, which was probably a tactical error, but it got our product into the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Then more recently, Note Flight and Hal Leonard licensed the product, and it's now this year for the first time going to be an assessment package that's attached to Essential Elements.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's very exciting for us.
Yeah, I know elementary music teachers listening to that are excited about that, because always looking for assessment tools, always curious about assessing their students and looking for new ways to do it. So that is something that I'm really excited to hear about for sure.
Well, I know that both Music First and Note Flight are and Essential Elements Interactive are right now, as this is the time that they're promoting their packages and their platforms. So I welcome anybody to go try it and get a sample of it and see how they like how it reacts. It's we're a similar technology to smart music. It's just we have the polyphonic aspect as well.
Right. Awesome. So this audience is elementary music teachers, hence the name, the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast, if it didn't give it away. So what is your best advice for implementing technology in the music room, with something you've already talked about, obviously, or something maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Well, it's technology can be daunting, and the most important thing is for the teacher to be comfortable with it. If they're not comfortable, if they're not at ease with the technology, it's just not going to work. The students are not going to embrace it like they could or should. And even though, students generally spend a whole lot more time in front of their screens than the rest of us, when they're introduced to a new technology, they've got to be schooled. They've got to learn how to use it. So the first thing I would always suggest is find something that you believe is going to be of value to your students, and then take the time to really familiarize yourself with it. And they don't have they embrace technology kind of on a core kind of bloodstream kind of level, whereas older teachers or parents have to look at it in through a lens of people who didn't grow up with this. And when you think about something being really odd or potentially confusing, it may just be confusing to us and not to them. Anyway, that's my starting point.
It's so true. I'm laughing, not at you, I promise, but I'm just laughing because, first of all, I have 3 boys. They're 7, 10, and 12. So I know with my own children, they will show me things and do it so quickly where I have to spend forever figuring it out. And it is mind-blowing, but you're right. It's this generation of learners. And I'm almost finished with my master's in educational technology, and we have talked about that a lot. The older generations of technology wasn't really a thing, or it was becoming a thing, and now kids, I don't think I've ever known, especially in school age, a day where they have not used technology in some way, and it's so much easier for them. So I love how you put that. Just because it's hard for us and it's going to be a learning curve for us. It will still be a learning curve for our students, but doesn't mean that it will be as hard for them. I love the way
Exactly.
you put that.
They look at it differently. If you can imagine, I don't think we can imagine that if at age 2, instead of holding a book all the time, we're holding a screen.
Mm.
There's a different relationship. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So we talked about match my sound a little bit,
Yes, ma'am.
but in one of the things that I know that it helps students practice in a better way.
Yeah.
For an elementary music teacher, there's a lot of them using or teaching recorder, or a lot of them now are even teaching ukulele. And so
Mhm.
what is it about a practice app like Match My Sound that helps aid students in practicing in a better way?
Okay. Well, first of all, they can react to the content in at their own speed, obviously. Um, and in very practical term, they can listen to the music, then play it. They can slow down the music so that they are hearing it at a tempo that makes it more accessible to them. They have the visual clues of notation, or in the case of ukulele, tablature, even, other than, so they're viewing the music, they're listening to the music. Video can also be part of that the way the content is delivered. And then when they practice, they can practice it at a little sections. The teacher can just say, you know what, the cadence is the problem, just practice that, and they can make an assignment that is just specifically about what the problem is. It's interesting, within these platforms, the student can play it, they get a score, they get a reward, stars and things like that. They can challenge themselves. The teacher can also moderate, and this is very important. There are 3 different levels of assessment that the system has built into it. It can be very, very gentle, and I'm not going to say look past some errors, but not judge them so critically.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a moderate assessment, or it can be a very strict assessment. So in terms of a beginning student, an elementary school student who is just starting the recorder,
Mm-hmm.
you want that to be a gentle assessment, and you can pick easy assessment when you make the assignment, so that you can tailor the expectation to the skill level of the student.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I was thinking about being an elementary music teacher and assigning recorder homework, I don't want to call it that, but let's be honest, saying
Okay.
go practice this piece we worked on in class at
Yep.
home. Well, a lot of parents aren't musical. Everybody's musical, but they don't know how to read music, is what I should say. They don't know how to read music, or they don't really know how to help their child with recorder, as an example. So I just think this is so neat, because something like this, it's taking that pressure even off the parent of being like, what? How am I supposed to help you with this? My son, who would ask me for help a lot with recorder, but I'm a musician. So I'd just be, oh, do this, this, this. But I remember even thinking that, what about all the parents that don't know this and don't know how to
Right.
help their child? So I think that's a great thing for that.
Jessica, that's a really wonderful point. The way that we display the error, is that there is, we call it the caterpillar. There's a line under the music, and
Mm-hmm.
if it is if the person plays it perfectly, it is a horizontal line of green, and it's just that simple to play the tempo, the rhythm, and the pitch correctly. Anytime there's a deviation off of what would be the tempo, the line goes up if they speed up, or goes down if they went too slowly. And any place that there is a pitch or rhythm error, you'll see red in the caterpillar. And you just mouse over it, and it'll say, you played an E instead of an F. You didn't hold the note long enough. So any parent can see those things, even if they're not a musician, and go, okay, I see the error. The other thing is that they can hear their own recording after they compare it to the reference tracks. They can start to understand and use their ear.
Mhm.
One of the things that we're trying to do, and you'll see different applications of that over the next year or so, is to try to get the student to discover the error before we point it out. And just say, there's a problem in measure 2. Not what the problem is, but there's a problem there. Listen to the reference track, listen to what you played. Now try to play it again.
Mhm.
All these kinds of things. So it's not binary. I think one of the problems about assessment and feedback, either ours or smart music's, it's binary. It's right or wrong. And we're telling you that. The opportunity to give the student the chance to discover what the problem is and then fix it on their own really reinforces what we're really after, is getting someone's ear to hear those issues.
I love that. And it goes back to, we talk a lot about in education, student-centered learning. And
Yes.
that's exactly what that is. It's student-centered. It is giving students ownership for their learning and what's taking place and understanding and self-assessment. All those things are
Yeah.
buzzwords in the education community that definitely sounds like it's a part of.
Yeah. And it's a goal. At first, it was just, let's figure out how we can explain something, again, very binary, right or wrong. And once that was achieved, it was, okay, is that really the answer?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's part of the answer, but what you want to do is then give the skill to the student to self-assess.
Right. In the music classroom, when a teacher, let's say with a fifth grade class, has 25 students in their classroom, is Match My Sound something they can use in their classrooms if everybody has a one-to-one device, like a Chromebook or an iPad that they can use to practice a piece they're learning together in the classroom? That definitely still goes into assessing them afterwards as well.
I'm going to give that a really lousy answer. Yes and no.
Mhm.
If there is too much ancillary sound, meaning the kid playing the clarinet right next to you playing the clarinet, it can confuse
Gotcha.
the algorithm. However, depending upon the device, and we're dependent upon the microphone in the Chromebook or the iPad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the devices, the microphone is very tunneled. And we have done tests where you have 25 kids in a guitar class, each playing their piece, and it works. And we've done the same test with different devices, and it was a nightmare. So to be honest
Right.
with you, it really depends on the device.
Absolutely. That makes sense. That's with a lot of technology is it's getting in there and trying it. If it doesn't work, that's okay. And
Yep.
using it
But
as a practice app.
And that's, Jessica, that's exactly it. It is a practice app, and it is for the student to be able to take that recorder piece at home and learn it and not get confused and not repeat mistakes. I think that's the fundamental benefit of any kind of feedback and assessment. We all know if you repeat the mistake over and over again, that's part of your muscle memory. Now you have to unlearn it. This allows the student at least to not make that error over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's good. We were talking about assessment, and I had one other question that came to my mind when we were talking
Yes.
about that is, when the students are practicing at home, is there a way for them to record themselves? Because I know one thing that's really difficult for teachers is going around and individually assessing each student one at a time. So if they're at home and they're practicing, what a great assessment tool by being able to, hey, here's the work I recorded, and having the teacher be able to see that or hear it.
That's at the core of the program.
Perfect.
So you get an assignment, the notation's there. You
Mhm.
can hit play if you want and listen to it. Then you hit record. The recording is when you're playing it along, and if there's a backing track, you hear that in your headphones or your earbuds, and you play along. At the end of that, you then have the opportunity to submit it to your teacher.
Mm.
The teacher gets the audio, they get the graphic display of what you did attached to the music, and we also have a video component, so that if you're playing like violin,
Mm-hmm.
and you're playing your piece, you can do a video record instead of just an audio record. It records the video, the audio, and provides the assessment line to the teacher as well.
Love it. I know elementary music teachers listening are like, yes, please, because it just makes their life so much easier. Where you don't always have enough time in the classroom to do self-assessment, or not self-assessment, individual assessment of students walking around the room. But when you have them submit something they've worked on or they're practicing from home, it just makes that piece so much easier.
The one thing that we want to make very clear is that we don't teach musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
That's the teacher's job. We don't teach artistry. We tell you the notes that are right or wrong, so that when you do have the facility to play it, the teacher can say, okay, they know the notes, but they didn't play legato here, they didn't express something here. We never claim to be teaching that level of musicality. Musicianship we teach, but not musicality and not artistry.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, because every teacher knows their students. You know your students better than anyone else. So yeah, that's awesome. We talked about the pushback with teachers sometimes in technology, and I think there's just the comfort level of, maybe I'm not familiar with this, or I don't know if I'll be doing a good job at it, or my students know way more than I do, which they always will, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. This is the way students love to learn, is by using technology. So you touched on this a little bit, but what would you say to the teachers who are hesitant to use more technology with their students?
It's very natural to be resistant to anything new, any change. It's just part of our nature. It's really different now than it was in 2019. When COVID hit and teachers had to teach remote, had to use Zoom, had to employ different apps that they never would have done before, it broke down a lot of the resistance. And it said, okay, nothing will replace being in the classroom with the student, but there is some value to these other tools. And I think the thing is to accept that there are multiple ways of reaching the goal. And there are certain things that we can do now that we couldn't even begin to imagine doing 5 years ago. People can play online together. There are new technologies coming out all the time. It's going to free us up as we become more adept at using them. It's just be open. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, I love it. So, do you have any other advice about implementing music education technology for a music teacher before we go today?
Sure. I know this is getting towards the end of August, and everybody's getting ready to get back to school. But if you haven't made a determination to employ some music tech now, I would quickly seek out what are the things that are best. Talk to the other teachers that you know who do use it. Why do they use it? What's it doing for them? And don't start with a whole package. Take one program, one thing that you think will make your life a little bit better and your students' life a lot better. Focus in on that, and then as you become more comfortable, other things will open up.
Awesome. So where can everybody connect with you online and also find out more about Match My Sound?
Well, they can go to matchmysound.com. That's easy enough. And one of the new things that we just put up there this last week is the Try It Now button, so that you can go there, learn all about the technology, see who our technology partners are. But there is now a page on the website where you can actually, you don't have to sign in or do anything. You can just put it on your iPad on your piano and play a few examples and see how the technology works. And just write to support at matchmysound.com. I get the emails from that all the time. If they want to ask questions to me or talk to our support team, which are way smarter and nicer than I am, they'll be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I have enjoyed this conversation and I appreciate you coming on and speaking with us today.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I enjoyed it as well.
Well, hey there. Thank you so much for listening into the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast. There is an exclusive Facebook group just for listeners of this podcast and any elementary music teacher called the Elementary Music Teacher Community Facebook Group. Come on over and join us there where we have conversations around the podcast episodes and encourage each other each and every week. And also head to my website, thedomesticmusician.com. I have some free resources there that you can download to help you gain traction in your classroom today, as well as the blog and the membership site and all kinds of other goodies to help you keep going in your music teaching journey. I cannot wait to keep connecting with you and encouraging you and spurring you on in your journey of teaching elementary music. Hang in there, have an amazing week, and I will see you soon.